Still, at least, let me mention the idiocy of mass immigration at a time when governments are preaching division, preaching that Australia is shameful, they fly three flags, they divide us into tribes. One viewer, Coco, saw this week a bus from Melbourne's Casey Council. It's Casey 360 bus for youth services, decorated on both sides by every flag except the Australian one. The Aboriginal, Torres Strait Islander and gay pride flags, but not the Australian flag that should unite us. So typical. And that is in a council area where nearly 60% of locals have both parents born overseas, especially from India, Afghanistan, Sri Lanka. Joining me is Sky News host James McPherson and communications consultant Chrissy McSweeney, who's worked for Coalition Prime Ministers and Premiers. James, isn't this exactly the wrong time for elected bodies to display every flag except our own, the Australian flag?
Yeah, well, Andrew, no one wants to be part of a losing team, and it doesn't take you long, having arrived in Australia, to work out which is the losing team. White, European, Christian Australians are clearly the losing team, and it's not other people saying that. We say that about ourselves. We are constantly apologetic for our history. We teach our children that we have been the cause of all the world's ills, and so new people to Australia pretty quickly realise, if that's the losing team, why would I ever join it? So they retain their own culture and their own identity. But there's a bigger issue here, Andrew, and that is that years ago we embraced moral relativism. That is, you can't say what I'm doing is right or wrong. Everyone should do what's right in their own eyes. Now, that's fine, but it leads to cultural relativism. If you can't say one behaviour is better or worse than another, you can't say one culture is better or worse than another. And the moment you start to address cultural relativism, which we need to, because clearly we have an immigration problem, but if you're going to address that, then you're stuck with the issue of moral relativism. You're going to have to admit there is right and wrong. There is a standard beyond ourselves. We don't want to admit that, so we don't want to address cultural relativism. It all comes back to moral relativism and our embrace of that. Until we're willing to admit there is a standard beyond ourselves, then I'm afraid we're stuck with cultural relativism and the increasing division we're seeing in our country.
We don't even have to be right when we say this is right and yours is wrong. The point is that a society cannot be sort of cohesion, cannot have cohesion unless there is a broad agreement as to what's right or wrong. It's like driving in the, there's nothing necessarily right about driving on the left side of the road, but if you just leave everyone to make up their own mind, you're going to have trouble.
Indeed.
Chrissy's communications dropped out, so let me stick with you for a sec. I'd never, James, take political advice from a punk rock band.
Why not?
Listening to them, I've got to tell you, you probably can tell what politics is treated as, of course it's good, in their circles, and how little thought they actually give to the slogans they parrot. I want to show you Amy Taylor from the band Amyl and the Sniffers after they cleaned up at the ARIA Awards yesterday. Have a listen.
As the new Prime Minister of Australia, I would like to say all immigrants welcome. I'd like to say land back. The doll's going up. And every pub gets $1 million.
All immigrants are welcome, which is sure going to be good news to some people overseas, maybe looking for a new country, although it's odd that Taylor is actually welcoming them into stolen land that she actually wants given back to Aborigines. Chrissy, great to see you. What do you make of that?
Well, Andrew, unfortunately, that is the arts sector as it is, or not all of it, I must say. We've seen over the last couple of years, particularly with the anti-Semitic influences that have seeped into our arts and cultural institutions, there is starting to be a bit of a pushback around that group think. But of course, the band says a lot of statements that are recognising Palestine. They're well known. At their concerts, they talk about the fact that this is a safe space to wear your keffiyeh and wave your Palestinian flag and support Palestine. That's okay. That's what they want to do. They talk about Indigenous rights. They're an activist band. They have publicly decried Scott Morrison. So they've singled him out as a political figure that they don't like. unfortunately, you know, this is where we're at, where they do have a voice to young people. There's not a lot of critical thought involved there. I respect that they have their opinions and I respect that their followers align to their views, but, you know, are these sorts of things the time and place to engage in that sort of activism? Increasingly, you know, in arts and music festivals, it seems to be.
It just seems to be automatic, and the assumption that all the audience agrees with them. I just find it, James, really weird, you know. Hey, we're on stolen land. Let's go and invite strangers to come steal it too. I mean, really. But what do you make of all that?
Well, Andrew, these are people who enjoy the comfort of opinion without the discomfort of thought. But that's pretty much punk rock music, right? It's wonderful, provided you don't think too hard about either the lyrics or the music. I've often watched what's happening in New York with Zoran Mamdani and thought, how on earth could New Yorkers elect someone like that? Well, don't think that it wouldn't happen here in Australia when you get, you know, people who've been put up on a pedestal because they're good at punk rock music, and they are. They're a great band if you're into punk rock, but just because you play the guitar well doesn't make you a philosopher. But they're being given a stage to philosophise from, and all the young people say, it sounds amazing, increase the dole, give every pub $1 million, and don't think that they won't cheer for that and vote for that if someone gives them the opportunity. So we've got a big job to educate our younger generation, that's for sure.
Oh, it's a lot about seeming rather than achieving. That's a critical difference. Now, Christy, you have advised, as I said at the start, you know, premiers and prime ministers. We've lost, or we haven't lost, the Liberals have lost 2 leaders now. The Nationals have lost the leader in New South Wales. So in New South Wales this week, the Nationals got a new leader, the Liberals got a new leader. In Victoria, the Liberals got a new leader. What is this telling you? Is this salvation seeking? Oh, look, someone will come in and rescue us, some Superman, Superwoman? Or is there something about who can present and who can't?
I think it says a lot about the fracturing of the major party vote. 30% of people in this country only vote for major parties. It's well known. You know, the 30% is about where both the Coalition and the Labor Party vote is. Labor, of course, has worked out a really good preference strategy on their left flank with the Greens. That gives them the additional raise. The Coalition needs an electoral percentage of about a 40+% primary to win in their own right, with some preferences from right-leaning minor parties. Now, because of that fracturing of the major party system, everybody is worried about the One Nation vote from the right. They're also worried about the moderate Liberal vote with the Teals, and they're looking for a solution, a leader that will capture that. A lot of different reasons. Of course, in Canberra, we've seen the Liberal Party think that they should out One Nation, One Nation. In New South Wales, it was a moderate versus a moderate fight. In
left wing
Victoria,
versus left wing. I reject moderate.
Of course, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to call it, it was not the Conservative faction. And really interestingly, this week, the energy debate, the climate change debate has kicked off in the party room, and the war was still moderate versus moderate. Really, really interesting there, different from Canberra. And Victoria, of course, they're really worried about the Teal vote and capturing some of that and hoping that Jess Wilson will do that. All different reasons, all different political concerns for one major party battling on the left and the right. I think that's what it says to me. What do we stand for, and where's the centre of our party? Because we're trying to grab from the left and we're trying to grab from the right all across Australia. It probably won't work, Andrew.
Well,
people want to know what you stand for.
Well, young, attractive women who can talk well, maybe they think that, you know, camera friendly is very important. We shall see. James McPherson, Christy McSweeney, thank you very much to you both.